Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a declassified cosmic analysis. And honestly, the best place to start is right at the very end, the terrifying climax of an unprecedented galactic event. Picture this, a universe where the most ancient, technologically advanced empires out there have just been wiped out, turned to literal dust by an unstoppable, mysterious force known only as the Devourers. So as this massive, dark wave of destruction makes a beeline for our solar system, Earth gets a non-negotiable ultimatum, a message broadcasted directly to us: evacuate immediately or perish. But in the face of absolute, total cosmic annihilation, Earth sends back just 4 chilling words in response: we will not leave. No way, we're staying. It's a statement so incredibly defiant that it literally shocked the oldest beings in the universe. It completely altered the destiny of the entire galaxy. So how did we get to this seemingly suicidal response, and why did it terrify the cosmic elite? Well, to figure that out, we have to look at the data. We have to crack open the file on what they actually called us. Chapter Species 4214, Humans. To really grasp this defiance, we need to understand the Great Council, an ancient hidden satellite hub that acted as the absolute ultimate judge of all intelligent life. For millions of years, this Great Council was meticulously gathering data. They observed from the shadows, rigorously evaluating every single civilization that managed to claw its way out of the mud and look up at the stars. And man, they were thorough. I mean, before humanity even triggered a blip on their deep space sensors, the Council had categorized and evaluated exactly 4,213 different intelligent species across the cosmos. 4,213! We were literally just the next entry in this massive ancient database, species 1414. Just a number to them. Now, what's absolutely fascinating here is the massive difference in scale. We're talking about a David and Goliath situation, but dialed up to a cosmic level. The Council's records, they were packed with godlike civilizations. We're looking at beings with non-carbon bodies 10 times harder than steel. Entities with millennia-long lifespans whose minds only got sharper over thousands of years. Empires that could literally harness the raw, direct energy of dying stars. And then there's us. Humanity. Watched through their hidden satellites, we were just these beings stuck on a tiny rock, constantly fighting each other. But, and this is key, the satellites picked up something else too. Our art, the complex frequencies of our music, and that intense, chaotic drive of human love. Let's walk through the Council's official evaluation of us based on those observations. Honestly, it's pretty brutal. The data is entirely dismissive. Physical strength? Below average. Lifespan? Super short and highly unstable. Emotional state, a wildly conflicted mix of love and hate, and they viewed that as a fatal flaw. So their final verdict on our threat level? Minor. Yeah, minor. Not a single person on the Council objected to this assessment. Earth's file was practically shoved into a forgotten, ordinary cabinet. Because, why would ancient, star-harnessing gods ever worry about a minor, emotionally unstable species? Chapter Rise of the Devourers. About 50 years after our file was locked away, a terrifying shadow fell over the cosmos, silently eradicating the galaxy's mightiest empires. This sudden destruction came out of nowhere. No algorithm could have predicted it. And the speed? It was absolutely terrifying. It started out on the Outer Rim. The ancient Elorian Empire, the one famous for its magnificent crystal palaces, just went completely dark, utterly silent within hours. No distress calls, no screams, just a vast, empty void. At first, the Council just dismissed it as a natural cosmic disaster. But then, only 3 days later, the Crystal Empire, a massive apex civilization spanning 10,000 star systems, was totally annihilated. Gone. And over the following weeks, the Iron Collective, whose war fleets were supposedly the invincible vanguard of the universe, were literally turned to dust. The few survivors whispered just one name for this plague: the Devourers. Now, here's why this matters to our story. This enemy wasn't just blindly destructive. It was an adaptive, learning nightmare. They weren't even biological. Nobody saw them born, nobody understood their language, and nobody had a clue what they wanted. They just moved like this massive, dark wave, extinguishing stars. And the scariest part? With every single civilization they wiped out, they stole their advanced weaponry and immediately adapted it to use on the next target. Every win made them smarter and vastly more lethal. The Great Council, for all their power, was rendered entirely powerless. Chapter: The Red Dot Approaches. So for the first time in millions of years, the Great Council hits the panic button and calls an emergency meeting, because on their huge holographic map, a distinct red dot was heading straight for an insignificant yellow sun, Earth. Imagine thousands of the most advanced beings in the universe just staring up at that map. This brilliant web of illuminated civilizations was slowly bleeding red as the lights went out, one by one. You could literally see death written on the council members' faces. But you know what? Even facing the apocalypse, their arrogance was totally intact. One senior member with these ancient, tired eyes actually scoffed at Earth's impending doom. He predicted they wouldn't even need to fight us. His argument? Our emotional fragility, that messy love-hate combo sitting in our file, would make us instantly shatter. He thought we'd just crumble from the psychological terror of the very first strike. But despite their disdain, protocol dictated they issue a warning. Out of nowhere, every single TV screen, every internet connection, and every radio frequency on Earth gets hijacked. And the Council's desperate, totally condescending message blasts out globally. They told us, evacuate immediately. Safe colonies are ready. Do not even think of resisting. It is suicide. Now, the immediate aftermath here on Earth, it was exactly what you'd expect. Absolute, unadulterated mass panic. Chaos erupted globally. Families were weeping in the streets, totally terrified of this cosmic horror descending upon them. But then, something wild happened. Something the Council's super smart algorithms completely missed. That intense emotional capacity of ours, it became a catalyst. Within hours, scientists, military officers, engineers, and everyday civilians started communicating, sharing data, uniting. All those historical borders and age-old divisions, they just evaporated when faced with extinction. For 3 continuous days, the whole planet engaged in a fierce, unprecedented global debate about our survival. Chapter We Will Not Leave, which brings us to the absolute most pivotal moment in the history of species 4214. After 72 hours of global deliberation, every broadcasting network on Earth linked up for a single unified press conference. The leaders of the world stood together on one stage, in total silence. And right in front of them stood Earth's chosen representative, a woman with a calm, impossibly strong voice. She looked right into the camera lens, knowing full well that the ancient eyes of the Great Council were watching her. She didn't beg for help. She didn't accept the evacuation coordinates. Instead, she delivered those 4 defiant words that echoed across the stars. We will not leave. The Great Council was so completely stunned by this transmission, they actually replayed the audio 3 separate times. Their systems just couldn't process the data. Because you have to understand, this wasn't just a refusal. It was a challenge. For the very first time in recorded galactic history, a civilization that was written off as weak and minor chose to stare down inevitable death instead of running away. The Council finally realized that Earth wasn't a species that knew how to run. We were a species that knew how to fight until our absolute final breath. It turns out that very emotional volatility the Council laughed at, that was actually our ultimate source of resilience. As the sun rose on Earth the morning after that broadcast, it wasn't just another day. It was the dawn of a whole new era. Humanity had tossed aside its petty hatreds to face the dark wave together. And it leaves us with this absolutely incredible, provocative question. What happens to the universe when the most insignificant species decides to stand its ground and fight until their very last breath? The ancient empires fell in silence, but humanity decided that if we were going to go out, we were going to make the entire galaxy hear us roar.